So have an overview of pharmacology. What's pharmacology? Pharmacology is the study of interaction of drugs with living organisms. And under pharmacology, we're gonna look at the key terms like clinical pharmacology, drugs, pharmacy, pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, pharmacotherapeutics, toxicology, chemotherapy, pharmacopoeia, drugs, how they are obtained, the sources of drugs. Okay, let's see clinical pharmacology. What does it mean? This evaluates the pharmacological action of drug, preferred route of administration, and safe dosage range in human by clinical trials. What's a drug? Remember, we defined pharmacology as the study of interaction of drugs with living organisms. So what's a drug? Drugs are chemicals that alter functions of living organisms. Drugs are generally given for diagnosis, to prevent or control disease. That's why we give drugs. Also, let's define pharmacy. Pharmacy is the science of identification, selection, preservation, standardization, compounding, and dispensing of medical substances. Once a person has been diagnosed with a particular condition, they give a prescription. At times they go to the counter and they buy these drugs from the pharmacy. So we need to understand what the pharmacy is. Pharmacodynamics. What's pharmacodynamics? This is the study of the biological and therapeutic effects of drugs. That is to say, what the drug does to the body. This is simply the effects of a drug to the body. For example, when someone takes paracetamol, what do we expect? The paracetamol has to cause an effect to the body. For example, in case someone was given paracetamol as a result of high fever, we shall expect the fevers to lower down or to normalize. If it was as a result of maybe pain somewhere, we expect the pain to reduce. And let's see pharmacokinetics. This is the study of absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion of drugs. It looks at how the body does to the drug. After you taking the drug, it must be absorbed. Then it must be distributed to the target site. It must be metabolized, and the end product should be excreted. Let's also have a look at pharmacotherapeutics. This deals with the proper selection and use of drugs for the prevention and treatment of disease. Yes. Proper selection, what do we mean? For example, if someone has been diagnosed, for example, maybe with malaria, you will not go ahead and give antimicrobials in malaria. This is a parasitic infection, so we have to give the right drugs which are supposed to treat the parasitic infection like malaria. That's SCTs. Let's also look at the toxicology. This is the science of poisons. Many drugs in large doses may act as poisons. That's why you have to be keen when you are giving drugs to a patient, because poisons drugs act as poisons at the end of the day. That they are harmful. Excuse me. They are harmful. They are dangerous, and they can cause death to the living substances once not given in the right way. For example, in overdoses, someone may end up with liver failure, kidney failure. That's what the drugs can do to the human or living organisms. Yes. Also, we have chemotherapy. This is the effect of drugs upon microorganisms, parasites, and neoplastic cells living and multiplying in living organisms. For example, if you've ever heard of cancer patients are usually given chemotherapy. This chemotherapy targets particular abnormal cells which are in the body. We have pharmacopoeia. We have pharmacopoeia. This is an official code containing a selected list of the established drugs and medical preparations with descriptions of their physical properties and tests for their identity, purity, and potency. E.g., Indian pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia. These are the brands given to particular maybe big manufacturers of drugs. They look for the brand, they look for the name that differentiates their company drug from other companies. Let's look at how drugs are obtained. Those are the sources of drugs. You have minerals, you have animals, plants as a source, synthetic sources, you have microorganisms, you have genetic engineering. So, and in minerals, we have liquid paraffin, magnesium sulfate. Those are examples of drugs that are extracted from minerals, magnesium trisilicate. So in animals, we get insulin from animal thyroid extract, heparin, and toxins, etc. Those are kinds of drugs you get from animals. If you've ever heard of albumin, it's also got from animals, and human albumin. Plants, for example, you make morphine from plants, digoxin from plants. Synthetic sources. Which kind of drugs do we get from synthetic sources? These are chemicals that are manufactured from the laboratory. We have sulfonamides. Even paracetamol is just manufactured drug chemical from the laboratory. The dovidine, all those ones, etc. Microorganisms. Most of the penicillins are got from microorganisms. That's why they're called antimicrobials. Genetic engineering. Genetic engineering. This is where we find human insulin, human growth hormones. Exactly. Let's go to pharmacodynamics. Pharmacodynamics, this involves how the drugs act on target cells to alter cellular functions. We are not going deep in that because our main reason for here today is to look at the relevancy of biochemistry stroke applied pharmacology to the field of public health. Actually, we have looked at the key things. So let's continue. Maybe another thing I can just share with you right now, the efficacy and the receptor and non-receptor mechanisms of drugs, plus the sites of drug action, then drug how are the routes of drug administration. Receptor. What's a receptor? What is a receptor? A receptors are proteins. The protein molecules present either on the cell surface or within the cell itself. For example, androgenic receptors, have chronoreceptors, have insulin receptors. That is it. Also, let's have a look on efficacy. Efficacy is the ability of a drug to produce an effect at a receptor. That is it. Let's continue and have an overview how the drugs are administered. Those are the routes of drugs and the sites of drugs. The sites, we have extracellular, for example, somatic diuretics, plasma expanders. We also have drugs that act on cell surfaces. Examples of drugs that act on cell surfaces, we have digitaries, penicillins, and catecholamines. We have those ones which act inside the cell. Example, anti-cancer drugs and steroid hormones. Now, let's have a look at routes of drug administration. We have intravenous routes, that is IV. We have intramuscular routes. IM, we have subcutaneous routes. We have rectal routes. We have vaginal routes. We have inhalation routes. That is it. So once drugs are administered in the right way, we don't usually get challenges. Below we shall look at a child who was given IM drug, intramuscular drug, 1-year child, and the site wasn't clear. So this medical person damaged the child's greater muscles and the scientific nerve surrounding that area. This is really dangerous. We have to be keen when administering drugs. So as public health officers, we need to have this knowledge so that we can sensitize the community, can give the public health talks about drug administration, because at times patients, they come to hospitals, they are prescribed drugs, so maybe the drug were meant for vagina, someone goes back and swallows. That's wastage. The drug will not work at all, and the patient will come back to you the following day complaining, "Doctor, I did not see any improvement." It's because the route of drug administration was wrong. So why is biochemistry and applied pharmacology relevant to the field of public health?